Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, is such a serious film and takes on such an important issue, but makes it very personal. How did the idea for this film first come about?
I first had the idea for the film a long time ago, actually in 2012, and I read a newspaper article, and it was all about the death of a woman named Savita Halappanavar, who passed away in a hospital in Galway after being denied a life-saving abortion. And I started reading about, I just was very sad and devastated, and I began reading about how far women in Ireland would have to travel at that time if they needed an abortion, and then thinking about what that journey looks like in other countries and other places, and decided to explore that dilemma in the context of our current climate.
And, it's such dramatic material, and the journey that the two of you go on, that your characters go on, is so meaningful. First off, what was it that really drew you to the story? And then, secondly, like what did you look to really inform your characters?
Well, what drew me to the story was when I read Eliza's script. I thought it was so true and honest, and that the characters were so genuine, and it wasn't some exaggerated stereotype or something, and I just loved how grounded in reality it was, and it almost made it kind of magical in its own way. And then with trying to inform the character, I don't know, I think I kind of just drew from that universal pain that all of these women are feeling, just trying to maintain these rights that are always under threat.
For me, it was the script too that really drew me to the film, and also to the role of Skylar. The fierce love and protection she has for her cousin is something that's really cool, and as Eliza was saying, kind of an untold story, and just seeing that made me really want to be a part of it.
You think, as another reference point of something like 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days, in a sense, but to actually bring that story to the U.S., where this is something that happens all the time. Did you do a lot of research about, the stories of women, in the U.S. who have gone through this as well? And were there any specific reference points for?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously I like 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days a lot, and I think it's a masterfully directed film. But there was something that always resonated with me from it, and that the kind of secondary character in that film who's pregnant is a bit shamed for being pregnant and is considered a little juvenile and careless and reckless. And I thought that in that film, even though it's so, stunning in its execution, was a bit insensitive towards the character that was actually in crisis. And that is something I thought about in writing this film a lot. I didn't meet with women who have traveled for abortions, but I did talk with social workers in several clinics, in Planned Parenthood in New York, but also other clinics in Queens, and just tried to hear their stories about their encounters, and tried to, empathize and think about, what they go through as well.
Why Pennsylvania as the initial setting, at least? Because you almost might think, well, maybe it would be Mississippi or a place where, right away you think it would be even harder.
Women come from all over to New York, and it does have a long history of being a bit of the abortion capital. I was compelled to tell the story in Pennsylvania because when you leave New York and you drive 3 hours west, you're in a part of Pennsylvania that feels like Appalachia. And it is really like traveling back in time. And you don't have to go so far before you realize how radically this country changes.
You two have, such an incredible dynamic in this film. And how did you go about creating that? Were there any exercises that you did, outside the film, any rehearsal prep or anything to really build that chemistry?
Yeah, we only had about 2 days rehearsing in an apartment. So it was very little time to prepare, but Eliza gave us these journals, and she wrote these really personal questions inside and had us write down our answers and then read them to each other in private. And
I wasn't there.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was
For
just
them.
the two of us, and and it helped us like bond, and we hung out offset sometimes too, and like we just really got along.
Yeah.
And they're also from the same place, and that was a coincidence.
Yes,
that,
yeah.
You know, we discovered at Talia's callback, and I thought it was another bond that they could have, you know, during the production of the film.
But
Yeah.
you didn't know each other beforehand? or-
No.
No?
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Eliza, I know the way you filmed a lot of their interactions is with close-ups. You know, why that choice? And was it, you know, with like a telephoto lens that you could get like further away, or was the camera like right there in the space? Or?
No, the lenses that we use are mostly normal lenses, you know, mostly like a 32 millimeter lens, and I, you know, gravitate towards sort of minimalist choices around equipment, and you know, it's just wanting to make it very intimate, and a lot of times it was just me and my cinematographer, Helene Louvert, very close to Sydney
Yeah,
for
there's
27 days, I would say.
Yeah, there were moments where Helene and I were definitely like bodies touching. And
We were laughing earlier. We were doing a scene in Autumn's house, and Sydney and I, we were laying on a bed, and we were just talking, and we realized it got really, really quiet. And then Sydney was like, wait, I think they're filming, and we looked up, and like the crew started laughing, and they had been filming us the whole time.